What's up, curious youngsters? Surely when you don't understand how something works or you don't know why things happen, you just ask questions. From normal questions like why explosions have a mushroom shape, to more interesting ones like why some animals are born with their eyes closed. Well, Mr. Curiosity, some subscribers are always asking questions and some are so interesting that I'm bringing them to this video. For this and much more, these are 20 curious questions in 10 minutes. Freddie Gomez asks, why are dogs and cats born with their eyes closed? To understand why puppies and kittens are born with their eyes closed, we need to know that their gestation is very short. And unlike other creatures, when the puppies are born, their sense of sight is not fully developed. That's why, in their first days, they can't see, although they do have an excellent sense of smell that allows them to always stay close to their mother. Therefore, once the babies are born, their nervous system, eyes and ears will continue developing for a few more weeks. Open your eyes, Whiskers. DeepHN asks, why do cats purr and knead with their paws? Kneading in cats is a rhythmic movement of their front paws, which resembles the way our hands move when kneading bread. And the origin of this behavior is a reflex they learn as kittens, which helps stimulate the flow of milk and also keeps their nose clear while they feed. Cats knead and purr not only when they are young, but at any stage of life when they feel happy and comfortable, showing us a bit of affection. Diego Rivera asks, which are the land and flying animals with the best vision? Human beings have an excellent sense of sight, since we can distinguish stars thousands of light years away, and we see a wide range of colors, but the vision of certain animals is far superior. For example, the eagle is the flying creature with the best eyesight, since they can see about 8 times better than humans. And when it comes to land animals, the mantis shrimp has the best vision, since it not only sees a more complete range of colors, but it can also move its eyes independently, increasing its field of view. Memo Alcantara asks, how is optical fiber made? Optical fiber is essential for us to have internet service because of its ability to transmit data using light waves. This component is made from a filament of molten glass that is stretched, thin, and flexible, and it has a plastic coating. To manufacture these filaments, glass tubes called preforms are used. These preforms are melted and stretched until a very long filament is obtained. When we say very long, we're not exaggerating. These preforms can produce several kilometers of fiber, each only a fraction of a millimeter thick. Vicente Cofre asks, why do explosions have a mushroom shape? Large explosions often look like a giant mushroom, thanks to the phenomenon known as the Wilson cloud. This happens when an explosion releases too much energy, creating a bubble of gas with high temperature in the center. And what happens is that if the blast occurs in a portion of air that's humid enough, the shock wave will cool the water vapor in the environment, causing it to condense. And since hot air is lighter, it will rise and expand quickly, creating that mushroom shape. Stay away from explosives, Timmy. Jesus David Sequeda Barragan asks, why does the circle around the sun form? Maybe you've noticed a kind of colored circle around the sun before, and you weren't the only one, since this phenomenon is known as a solar halo or rainbow ring, and it's more commonly seen in the northern hemisphere. And to understand why it happens, we need to know that there are high clouds, for example cirrus clouds, which contain thousands of suspended ice crystals, and then the sun's rays are refracted when they pass through those crystals, which ends up making us see those colors. Obito78 asks, where does the dirty water from our shower or toilet go? If we live in urban areas or cities, we need to know that all the dirty water from home goes to the same place. The bath water, known as wastewater, goes out through a pipe to the sewer system, which runs underneath the city. Once there, the water from the whole city travels through huge pipes to treatment plants, which are responsible for filtering and cleaning the water before releasing it back into the river or the sea. Balto Believer asks, why does ASMR relax us? ASMR sounds have become very popular as a relaxation technique. Well, ASMR, which stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, translates into a pleasant sensation felt in our head, neck, and shoulders when exposed to soft sounds or repetitive movements. And what happens with this is that our body enters a state of relaxation due to the release of endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin, and other neurotransmitters that quickly relieve stress and anxiety. The human body really is interesting. Arlegmatos asks, who created the first eyeglasses? The first eyeglasses in history were created in the 13th century by the Italian monk Alessandro della Spina. These first glasses consisted of two lenses mounted in wooden circles, joined by a rivet that were placed on top of the nose. After this, they became popular among older people for seeing up close, and it wasn't until the 18th century that temples were invented, so they no longer had to be balanced on the nose or held by hand. Rifle asks, why does a scarecrow scare birds in the crops? If you've ever visited a vegetable garden, you probably noticed the presence of a scarecrow set up to protect the plants from birds. Well, this invention to preserve crops has been used for centuries and works because it acts as a real visual deterrent to various birds. We know that these little ones are quite skittish and aren't used to human company. People often dress it in clothes and hats to make it resemble a person or large animal. So when it moves in the wind, it scares them away. David Ferreira asks, why did the first bicycles have a giant front wheel? Maybe it catches your attention that the old bicycles, called penny farthings, had a huge front wheel, much bigger than the rear wheel. Well, one of the reasons for the design of these first bicycles was that inflatable tires didn't exist yet. Since they were made entirely of metal, the front wheel was larger to achieve a smoother ride over the terrain and to move at higher speed. And also, since the pedals were attached only to the front wheel, the rear wheel didn't need to be so big. Hector Den asks, why are the edges of transparent glass green? You may have noticed that even though glass is transparent, its edges have a green color, and this becomes more noticeable the thicker the material is. The explanation for this phenomenon is found in the action of light. Since glass is usually thin, if we look through it, there won't be much change in the intensity of the light rays. From the edge, rays travel farther inside the glass before reaching us, making it less transparent and giving it a greenish tint. Let's see if you knew that, my friend. Curious by Nature asks, can a snail walk over something sharp without getting cut? Snails have the amazing ability to slide over any surface. And when we say any surface, we're not just talking about sticking to ceilings and walls, but this mollusk can also move over very sharp surfaces without hurting itself. Its secret is a thick layer of sticky mucus produced by its body, which protects it from getting cut or scraped, and also prevents attacks from certain insects like ants. Alberto Saavedra asks, does sound or electricity have weight, no matter how small? Sound is a mechanical wave that can travel through a material medium at a speed and distance that will depend on the medium it travels through. For this reason, sound has no weight, since as a wave it does not have mass. And as for electricity, we need to know that even though we can't see it with the naked eye, it is made up of constantly flowing particles called electrons. And those tiny particles have mass and therefore have weight even if it's too small to measure. Now Will Alexander asks, how is carbonated water made? Carbonated water or soda was created for medicinal purposes in the 17th century, and today it has so many fans that we can not only find it in any supermarket, but we also have appliances to make it at home. In its production, machines are used that have a carbonation system, where carbon dioxide is mixed with water, and the liquid is kept at a constant pressure, so it doesn't lose its bubbles until it is bottled or served. Dylan DeBarbaro asks, why can parrots talk like us and why can't other animals do it? Parrots don't have the ability to talk, but they can imitate sounds, such as human words. This bird, like all others, has an organ that can produce different sounds, called the syrinx. But in addition, the parrot has a longer tongue than other birds, which allows it to modulate and repeat sounds similar to human speech. That's why it often seems like it's using human language. Itol Martinez asks, why doesn't honey spoil? We know that if honey is kept in a closed container, it practically doesn't go bad. And for example, some jars of this food found in ancient Egyptian tombs were still edible despite being thousands of years old. And the main reason why it keeps so well is found in its composition, since honey is mostly sugar and contains very little water, which makes it a poor environment for microorganisms to grow. In addition, it is a substance that is very acidic, which makes it almost impossible for bacteria to live in it. Thank you for the honeybees. Heidi Velasquez asks, why do we get dizzy and get a headache when we don't eat? We know that if we go several hours without eating anything, we can start to feel a bit unwell. And while some people get a strong headache, others feel dizzy, weak, sweaty, and can even faint. Well, those uncomfortable symptoms happen because when we don't eat for a long time, there's a drop in the level of our main source of energy, glucose or blood sugar. A decrease in glucose causes the muscles in the body to contract, leading to a tension headache that goes away as soon as we eat something. Daniel Carvajal asks, how does Wi-Fi internet work? Wi-Fi internet was created in 1997 and works in a similar way to mobile phones or television. Wi-Fi networks transmit information through the air using radio waves in the following way. On one hand, we have the wireless adapter of a device that translates data into a radio signal and transmits it through the air using an antenna. And on the other hand, we have a wireless router that is responsible for receiving the signal, decoding it, and sending the data through a wired connection to the internet servers. Andres Leva asks, where does the legend of Bigfoot come from? The legend of Bigfoot originated several centuries ago in the forests of the United States and Canada, and also in Asia, where it is known as the Yeti. This creature is said to be a mix between a man and an ape, about 3 meters tall, with a body covered in reddish or white hair, especially in snowy areas. The legend describes it as a shy creature wanting to live peacefully away from civilization, and though some spend their lives searching for it, it's still just a legend. Before I leave, I'll greet commenters here and on the secondary channels. A big shout out to Cindy Sanchez, another shout out to Solcanonis, and one to Estelar and Estelari. Afterwards, I'll send a greeting to your mustached one, another to Yoshio, and the last greeting goes to the awesome Valentine Mina.